Joan Herman, and this is Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Thanks for tuning in. Our guest today is Dr. Joe Vitale, the author of numerous best-selling books, including The Attractor Factor, Life's Missing Instruction Manual, The Key, and Zero Limits. His latest book is entitled Attract Money Now. Joe has recorded many audio programs, including The Awakening Course, The Missing Secret, and The Secret to Attracting Money. Joe starred in the popular movie The Secret and has been featured on Larry King. Well, and now I have to talk about a book that you've mentioned a few times, The Ways People Can Attract Money. And you did mention if you go to attractmoneynow.com, you're actually giving this book away. You have 7 ways that people can attract money, and I love the title of this book. Can you give us some of the information about those ways that what we can put into our lives and practice to bring wealth?
Well, I'll tell you the very first tip, the very first principle, I guess, that's in my book, Attract Money Now. And again, anybody can read it. I'm giving the digital version away at attractmoneynow.com. So no excuses, go read it. And then, of course, implement it to get the results you want. The very first step deals with your mindset. And I'm going to say a couple things here that are going to be mind-shifting for most people and maybe even hard to hear. But I have found that when you change these particular beliefs in you, the whole world opens up and you can have more of what you want and be a much happier person and healthier person. The very first one is to realize that most people have a bad attitude towards themselves, meaning most of us don't love ourselves, don't like ourselves even. So when we say that we want to attract more money, an unconscious part of us says we don't deserve it. And so we're going to sabotage ourselves from even getting it. And why do we feel that way? Because of our upbringing, because of how many times we heard no, because of how we beat ourselves up over the years whenever we made a mistake or things didn't work out. That self-image needs to be rebuilt. And I tell people, if you just realize that this I don't love myself is a belief active in you, it's the first step in erasing it. Now you can start to do some things to prove that you love yourself. That's the first big one here, and that's all in the first step of Attract Money Now. The second one, which is still in the first step, is another belief. And it's the belief that most people have a lousy attitude about money. I always say to people, complete this phrase, money is the root of all
evil.
Yeah, they all say that.
Right.
Well, just imagine if you say to yourself, I am attracting more money. I am now wealthy. I am going to be a multimillionaire. And you visualize it and you do all the affirmations. You do everything you've heard about the law of attraction. Yet, unconsciously, you think money's bad.
Right.
You really think you're going to allow it in your life?
Right.
You're going to push it away. You're going to think, oh, yeah, I want money. But unconsciously, you'll be thinking, it's evil. Get it out of my life. Get rid of it. This is one reason people win the lottery. And very quickly, they're in further debt than they were before they won. They got the money before their financial mindset was cleaned up, and so they got what they considered to be evil. They got money in their life, thought it was evil, and said, I got to get rid of it. I got to spend it. I got to have an accident. I got to have a health problem. I got to give it away. I'm going to have tax problems. Before you know it, they need money. So that's all in the very first step in the book, Attract Money Now. One is you have to learn to love yourself. The other is you have to learn that money is not something you really want to love. Money is something you want to appreciate and use as leverage to get what you do love. I tell people that you want to focus on what you love, focus on your passion, and let money be a byproduct of what you do. Even Donald Trump, love him or hate him, he openly admits money's not his focus. Deal-making is his love. He loves to make deals. How does he know if a deal's working or not? If he made any money on it. Money's simply a way to keep score for him. So the very first step out of the 7 steps in Attract Money Now is to look at your brain, look at your mindset, your paradigm, your belief system. How do you feel about money? How do you feel about yourself? That's the very first step.
And it makes perfect sense what you're saying, because most of us aren't ready to let that in. And, it obviously would work when you do. We had a Broadway actress on probably a couple of months ago, and she spoke the same thing. She said that her love is her performance, and everything else is just a byproduct of what she loves doing. And that's exactly what you're saying. Don't make money the focus. Make it be what comes after you're doing what you love.
And that's really the truth. Books are my focus. I do movies and audios and DVDs and everything, but I consider myself an author. And the thing I love to do more than anything else is write. And as I pursue my passion, which is the calling that's right for me personally, it's not right for everybody, but it's right for me personally, the money comes tagging along afterwards. but I'm not writing anything for the money. That doesn't work for me, and I don't think it works for anybody. So money is not to be your love. Money is just to be something appreciated and used as a tool that most of society agrees on is something we can exchange to get other products or services.
Now, Joe, you mentioned being a writer. You also are something called a hypnotic writer. What does that mean?
Well, I coined the term, and I wrote a book called Hypnotic Writing. And what I did there is I found that there's a way of writing that engages people better than other kinds of writing. And most of it's story-oriented. Whenever you tell a good story, you're going to be much more captivated than if you just tell somebody the facts. And so I've applied good storytelling principles, some principles of psychology, principles of excellent writing, and combined it all together into what I just have this umbrella term, hypnotic writing. I try to do the same thing in everything I write. I try to do it even in my speaking. And to be short, to be engaging, to always be thinking of what's in it for the person listening, not coming from my ego, but doing my best to appeal to their ego, doing my best to help them, not help myself. These are all elements of hypnotic writing. It's just the way of writing to get attention, and especially when you have to do that today because there is everything from the internet to, emails to movies to, there's a long list of everything from Twitter to Facebook to regular TV, radio, newspapers, everything calling at us, doing its best to get our attention. So unless you communicate in a very riveting way, in an engaging way, you probably won't get your message across. So I taught people how to do it and with that book, Hypnotic Writing.
Joe, there's something else that I wanted to ask about. And, today's world, people, it seems they hurt one another. They don't think twice about, other people's feelings. And you talk about something which is called I Love You Healing. What is this?
Well, it's another book I wrote, at Zero Limits. In brief, it's the true story of a mental health therapist who helped heal an entire ward of mentally ill criminals. Now, you got to stop and think about this. This is a mental hospital for the criminally insane, and he helped heal everybody in there by using this Hawaiian healing method that's really based on love. What he was doing was loving the parts of him that he shared with the parts of the patients he saw. And again, I took a whole book to explain this in the book Zero Limits. But in a nutshell, he found that whatever he saw in a patient when he looked at him and he didn't like him or her was some element of himself that he didn't like. So when he practiced I love you to that part within him, it healed in him, and this is the magic and the miracle, it also healed in the patient. This is phenomenal. It's one of the most riveting. You're talking about a hypnotic story. When I first heard it, I was so mesmerized, and I spent a couple years tracking down the therapist, working with him, writing the book with him, and coming out with Zero Limits. It's really the evidence of the power of love, because love can transform anything.
Absolutely. Please tell us listeners where they can go, your website, they can get more information about you and your work and your books.
My main website is just my name. It's www.joevitale, Vitale.com, joevitale.com. Or, of course, if they just want to go get the book, that's free, attractmoneynow.com.
And as always, our listeners can visit our website at CYACYL.com, which stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Today we spoke to Dr. Joe Vitale. Dr. Joe Vitale, it was a pleasure talking to you today, and we need to get you back here to share some more of your wonderful words of wisdom with our listeners. Thank you very much.
Glad to do it. Godspeed to you and your listeners.
This is Joan Herman, and this is Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Thank you for tuning in today.